fatal heart impact, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions. Fact, don't ask, grab reactions. Jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused. Call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose. Pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now. Y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet now. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here. And now, whenever we last left off, we had Izuku Midoriya and what he is currently doing. Or, my bad, Izuku Carter. Now, within the last part, we have heard about what is going on. All For One is going to give Midoriya a quirk. However, to show that he has the ability, he did give Midoriya a quirk that he might be able to use right now. Now, All For One also does just want to see exactly how much skill this boy does possess. And if the boy does perform exactly what he does want, to the letter, he might be able to make some more use out of him. Now, let us continue with Izuku Carter. Now, it has been 1 week since we've last left off. And Midoriya, he is actually getting ready. Tonight the pro hero will be on patrol. They know it for certain. They've been following him and actually tracking him. So, he was able to pay a few random people with a couple $1,000s. He didn't really care about the price. However, he needed them to act as a distraction. Now, with that, we do have Mr. Aizawa, who is currently on top of a roof and on a bit of a break. Him actually sitting down and beginning to drink coffee from a thermos. Now, as he does do that, we do have a bit of a loud commotion, as we do have down the street in an alleyway, where we do have those men Midoriya has paid money to, as two of them are shoving each other and yelling loudly at each other. Mr. Aizawa actually sitting by overhead and watching what's about to happen. Now, this is whenever one of them actually does cock back their hand and throw a punch at the other one. Now, they do have a small bit of a fight. Aizawa jumping in and going to turn off their quirks. Now, as soon as that does actually happen, we do have Midoriya, who basically throws himself out from a trash can, or throws the lid off of a trash can and jumps out, running in and actually just tackling Mr. Aizawa into the ground. And Aizawa is caught off guard by that. As whenever he does actually hit the ground, he does break one side of his goggles. And he actually does have to pull them up and out of his way, basically throwing them off and getting back, or away from his opponent. As we do currently have Izuku Midoriya. Him dressed in black tactical boots, black cargo pants, and what could be described as just a tank top, or a very long-sleeved shirt. Either one would look classy as shit, and badass. Now, Midoriya is just standing there, and Mr. Aizawa is surprised to see this young boy. Ask him exactly what is he trying to do. Those men are going to get away. Midoriya basically explaining it for a second. He's aware. He paid them to do all that. Paid them? What exactly are you going on about, young man? Well, let's put it this way. Midoriya says, bringing his hands up close to his face and saying that he's being paid to bring him in. And he's never had a client go unsatisfied. So they're going to fight. Midoriya quickly showing off his quirk, and he does actually find it to be a bit odd and weird. Whenever he does actually reach down, and he just throws his fingertips through the metal trash can, and squeezes down, creating a hole in it as Midoriya actually does throw the trash can at Mr. Aizawa. And the piece of metal that he dug his hand into is ripped out. Midoriya looking at it as his hand is starting to begin to bleed a little bit. And he suddenly just drops it. Aizawa dodging the trash can and trying to head in. As he turns off Midoriya's quirk, and using his capture scarf, he does actually go to get Midoriya. Him being able to wrap it around Midoriya's right hand, whenever he threw it outwards to go and punch. Now, Midoriya did actually take notice of that. So, the pro hero seems to be right-handed as well. Interesting. Midoriya thinking, as he swings his right leg up into the air, and is actually able to hit Mr. Aizawa directly in his chin. And with his other leg, he does try and come up and hit Mr. Aizawa in the side of the head. Aizawa bringing up his hand and blocking the hit, having to release his capture scarf. Midoriya quickly just being able to pull his arm out of it, and being able to grab it with his own arm, or his own hand. Aizawa making the mistake of closing his eyes in the moment, to blink. Midoriya feeling his strength return to him as he actually does go to swing the scarf over his head. Now, the very moment Midoriya actually did yank the scarf with full force, Aizawa opened his eyes. And he already did feel the force of the pull activate, him being able to look at Midoriya as he does go overhead. And he actually does grab onto the side of the building, going to yank Midoriya up in the air by his right arm. Midoriya actually jumping into it, and leaping straight for Aizawa. With his left arm, he actually does come up and go to attack. Aizawa dodging the punch, before Midoriya tries to fight with his right elbow, that is still captured. Now, these two, they do begin to go back and forth. And we currently do have Isla Carter, who is able to see both their fights, or their fight, through a sniper scope, across the street. She does have tranquilizer rounds put into the magazine. And she's going to let her son enjoy the fight a little bit longer. In fact, this is a very rare occasion. In fact, it's impossible. Midoriya is not only using a quirk, something that he's never had in his life, but he also does seem to be enjoying that fight. Aizawa actually looking at the sadistic face Midoriya is making, as he's somewhat laughing and smiling. However, his eyes, they show a certain level of brutality and calmness. Now, Aizawa just finds this to be quite frightening, as Midoriya is actually able to slip away this time, him being able to slide his entire arm out of the capture scarf as he does actually wrap it around his wrist and fist. This time, with both hands, he actually does yank it, and Aizawa, he actually does go to pull against Midoriya, or pull back against the scarf, canceling Midoriya's quirk and staring at him. Aizawa being quite surprised. They both do seem to be on equal footing. And this boy, he's very strong, even without super strength. What the hell are you? Wouldn't you like to know? But let's keep it simple. Midoriya taking on a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, Midoriya quickly actually does just go running towards Aizawa, all the force shifting, and Aizawa is actually thrown backwards, and quite surprised. Midoriya actually going to pull his blade, and Aizawa actually is going to pull his own. Now, Midoriya actually is going to slice away at Aizawa at a non-vital artery. Now, well, he's trying to avoid arteries, is what I'm trying to say. Now, as soon as Midoriya actually is going to slide the knife, Aizawa, his knife actually is captured Midoriya's. And Midoriya predicted that. With his right hand, he actually just punched Aizawa in his wrist, before grabbing it and trying to bend his arm. Now, Aizawa's hand is if you were to simply just bring your forearm in front of you. Midoriya grabbed him by his wrist and is currently pulling it backwards. and he does just keep pulling. Basically, Midoriya does actually break his arm. Aizawa, he had to blink, and the very moment he blinked, Midoriya was able to get a hold of him. And he broke his right arm. Or his left arm, my bad. Wait. He broke an arm. I'm confused as to which arm he had. Now, with that, Aizawa actually has to go to back off and reactivate his quirk. Him going to reach for his knife. Realizing that it's on the ground, Midoriya is just walking forwards and picking it up. Thinking for a second. Nice metal, nice length. Him bringing it up in front of his face and looking at the blade. You know, you could sharpen it more. You get a cleaner cut. What do you know about knives? Plenty. Especially since I've killed a lot of people. So you're a villain? Oh, no, no. I'm not a villain, Mr. Aizawa. You know who I am. Yes, Bro Hero Racerhead. You like cats, sleeping, coffee, and you dislike people. Except for, I believe, Present Mike. So, mind explaining why you're after me? Don't know. The guy who hired me didn't say. And honestly, I don't care. I'm just here to fight you. Usually I do have to kill those, so I'm trying to be a bit more careful here. So, Midoriya asking Mr. Aizawa if he's going to continue fighting him. Him actually going to bring up the knife, quickly spinning it and grabbing onto the blade. Now, Mr. Aizawa does actually try and get a bit more information, trying to learn about this man. And Midoriya, he does actually find it to be quite annoying. He's asking too many questions. And Midoriya just brings up both of his hands, and he does actually seem quite confused. Mr. Aizawa thinking for a second that this boy is surrendering. No, wait a minute. Why would he surrender now? Kill me? Take me in? It clicking in his head. And before he can even spin around, he is shot in the back of his neck. And he quickly does fall forwards onto the ground. Now, Midoriya, he does actually walk forwards, and bend down, looking at Mr. Aizawa, and telling him that it's nothing personal. Business is business after all. And Aizawa, the last thing he does here is that this is going to be a souvenir. Now, Midoriya actually does take his knife. It's a very fine blade, and it kind of does pique his interest. As Midoriya, he actually does pick up Mr. Aizawa, and wait in the alleyway for a second. Before a van is pulled in, or pulls into the alleyway, Midoriya is able to load him in. And he is told to hurry up and jump in. Midoriya telling the man to hang on 1 second, as he does actually get out of the van and begin to look around. Now, he does actually see some blood on the ground, not sure if it's his or Aizawa's. And he also does actually see the dumpster, or the trash can that he put his hands on and was hiding in. Then Aizawa's very own hero gear, or his goggles. Midoriya walking over and picking that up, before he actually has put the trash can that he grabbed onto in a large dumpster. And he actually has walk over onto the passenger side, opening the car and grabbing something, well, grabbing a briefcase, bringing it up on the seat and opening it up, as he does actually grab what could be considered a bottle of strange chemicals. Now, he does walk over and quickly just spray it on the ground, where all the blood is. And once the bottle is half empty, he does walk back over onto the passenger side, getting in as he does begin to drive away, or leave with this person. Now, a couple, minutes later, or half an hour later, let's say, Kirigiri opens a portal to the villain's bar, and Mr. Aizawa is brought inside. Now, with that, this is quite interesting, and All For One is very surprised to see the young boy. He does look a bit more scuffed up, but other than that he looks perfectly fine. However, Aizawa, he has a broken arm, and a few cuts and bruises, so he does, tell Midori that he did a very, very fine job, and that he's in a lot better condition than he was expecting. Midori revealing to All For One that he was actually trying to hold back, and that the fight did get a bit more intense. Knife fights usually do. However, he was trying to keep him alive, so he didn't go for any arteries. And those are the fun things to go for, too. Reminds me of last year. That one boxing match fight. Anything goes. I still remember the light fading from that guy's eyes. Shigaraki and Kirigiri looking at each other for 1 second, looking back over at this young child. This child cannot really be telling the truth, right? He killed some guy last year in a boxing match? This is strange. I feel an odd sensation of respect and fear. Is that normal? Kirigiri, is that normal? Him slowly nodding his head. Now, All For One and Midoriya do sit down with each other, and Aizawa is actually taken away by the doctor. Now, with that, All For One does actually begin to ask Midoriya about the power he does want. And Midoriya does actually begin to think about it. A power that would be inconspicuous for his line of work. Let's see. From my previous field briefings, I've been told by my own teammates and mentors what would be good for me. I'm very smart and agile thinking. I use my intelligence well. Super intelligence would just be stupid. I'm already smart enough as it is, and the super strength quirk I can't keep. All For One asking Midori if he would like to keep that strength quirk. Him swiftly just saying no. Give him a minute. All For One obliging, as he asks Kirigiri for something to drink. Now, Kirigiri does set something to drink in front of All For One, and All For One begins to sip away at it. Now, while he does do that, a few minutes do pass by, and Midori is sitting there, thinking about a good quirk, and trying to come to a conclusion. Now, he eventually does settle on one that does make a bit of sense for his line of work, will be useful, and actually does fit into the category of well hidden. Especially because he's somewhat already been able to do it luckily. Now, Midoriya tries to get a specific way of phrasing it down, and he does actually speak it, asking for a quirk that would allow him to see where projectiles can fly. And this actually does surprise All For One. And he does actually ask what Midoriya does mean, him explaining it a bit better. Now, basically it's like if I were to have nothing in my hands and I suddenly pick up a rock, and I were to pull it behind my head, I would be able to see how far it would be able to fly, and the path that it would take. And if someone else did have something in their hand that they did plan on throwing, the quirk would allow you to see where the object would hit. Basically, I would say aimbot, but that's not really true. It's like assisted aiming. Or projectile dodging, kind of. Now, All For One is actually quite surprised by this. Midoriya is asking for a very, very specific type of quirk. and he does actually try and think about it for 1 second, telling Midoriya that that will be perfect for him then. And he does actually bring his hand out to shake Midoriya's, saying that he will be taking that quirk back as well. Midoriya immediately just brings his hand out to All for Once, and shaking it, feeling pain as the quirk is taken away. Now, along with that, All for One does actually have Kirigiri set down a file in front of Midoriya. Midoriya looking down at it before swiftly just breezing through it with his finger, pulling up the entire file and slowly bringing down the pages, seeing pictures of pro heroes, and being able to see their type of quirks. Some are well known, some are harder to look at or recognize. Midoriya looking straight at All for One as he doesn't even need to say the next few words. So these are the ones he wants then. Yes. Consider me owing you more favors, or quirks in the long run, if you can get me them. Interesting. And, well, question. If I were to come to you one day, or someone else were to come to you, with these very people in hand, would you still give them the same deal as me? Yes. I just need someone to get the job done. Doesn't matter who. Alright. Well, I hope you appreciate discreetness because I'm not saying a word about you. Professional standards. Much appreciated nowadays. Alright. Well, when do you think I can get that quirk then? I know it's a very specific request and it might take some time. Understandable. Now, I will contact you again whenever I do have it ready. This will be a bit more tricky. And in fact, if I can find this ability, it might benefit myself. Midoriya standing up and going to walk out of the bar. Now, he tells him to have a very nice day as he does leave. Now, Kirigiri, he actually does offer to open a portal for Midoriya, who actually does reluctantly take it. His car is back in that city after all. Or he doesn't reluctantly take it, he does take it. My bad. Now, he does arrive in an alleyway. As soon as he does, he actually does fall to his side, or onto the left wall, and slowly slump down, taking in a deep breath and a deep breath out, as his body can feel the restraint it has put on itself. And he does wonder, is that what people with super strength go through? Jesus! His hands hurt, his body hurts. God. That quirk sucks. I don't know why anyone wants that. Let alone why they're born with it. Jesus. My muscles feel like they're on fire. Now, with that all being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing night. I'll catch you guys in the next part.